Hello, hello. Welcome back to Tech Ascent, the podcast where we dive into the trends, strategies, and success stories that are reshaping the tech landscape as we know it today. I'm your host, Oliver Clingain. I'm also the founder of Ascension, the premier business development partner within tech. Today, we've got another great guest join us, joined by Manisha Raisinghani, the founder and CEO of SiftHub. Manisha, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Oliver.
Yeah, it's great to have you on. Would you mind kicking us off, telling us a little about yourself and what you guys do at SiftHub?
Sure. So I started SiftHub around a couple of years back, after ChatGPT was launched. So we are a post-ChatGPT company, an AI native company. SiftHub is a revenue acceleration platform. We help sales and solutions teams close deals faster by unblocking the deals in their entire pipeline. So we help them fasten the sales cycle and with productivity improvements as well.
Very cool. And I know you mentioned your post ChatGPT company. What were you doing before that? What's your background?
Yeah, before that, I was the CTO. I started Loginext. I was the co-founder of Loginext, started Loginext in 2014. That's a vertical SaaS company in logistics industry. So that's basically, route optimization and customer experience for logistics companies, a very different industry. And I ran the company as CTO for 8 years there. Before that, I went to Carnegie Mellon. And before that, I was working in a startup.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, I actually, funny enough, played Carnegie Mellon in basketball. I went to Hiram College, and then we drove up to Pittsburgh to play them one time. So,
Ah, yeah, Pittsburgh
and
is a beautiful place. There's this. I think I have a emotional sentiment attached to it because I went to school there. So whenever I tell people, "Oh, Pittsburgh is a beautiful place," they're like, "It's always snowing there."
I liked it. Nice bridges, kind of the river through the middle. It was
Yeah,
aesthetic. It was nice to look at.
yeah.
Then, Manisha, once you start the kickoff Sift Hub, what did you see in the market that made you want to get into this sort of space?
Yeah, it's interesting how I I started SiftHub because when you're a first time founder, you see a problem, you start building the product. You feel product is everything, and once I build a great product, it will sell like hotcakes. Uh, it's second time the approach was a little different. I faced this problem. So if you see, when you're selling to mid market or enterprises, the sales cycles are usually 3 months to 12 months and sometimes even beyond that for multi-million dollar deals, right? Now, when sales teams are having conversations, they are having conversations with multiple people on the other side and multiple people on their side as well, right? All these conversations, deal context, then product knowledge, everything is spread across multiple tools. Because ideally, sales teams are supposed to update everything on Salesforce, but that never happens, right? I'm sure every salesperson you talk to, nobody will say, "Oh, I love Salesforce." But that's still the source of truth today. It's supposed to be source of truth today. So that's the problem I saw. The entire knowledge is so fragmented. When you have to make a decision on anything related to sales, anything related to deal, or you have to ramp up your reps, it becomes very very hard, and it's a drain on productivity, which ultimately slows down your sales cycle.
Mhm.
So I got this idea, and then because I had seen that firsthand, I spoke to around 200 people. I interviewed 200 people to actually validate the idea. I was like, is it only me who is facing this issue? Because I have been a CTO, and whenever there was a complex deal going on, all the reps and solutions engineers, usually would go to product team and ask all the hard questions related to features, roadmap, security, privacy, and so on. So I wanted to validate that it's not just me who faces this problem. I spoke to a lot of CROs, growth stage founders, reps, and everyone like resonated with this idea, with the problem statement, and that's how my journey of SwiftUp began.
Nice. And I like that strategy a lot. I think, especially in the AI space, there's a lot of companies that are just kicking off. And now that we've got this new tech, we've got this new tool that you've got to build a company around it. I like that you went out identified the problem, made sure it was an actual problem, and then built tech around it. I think that's a really good strategy. And coming into the space now, we obviously know how competitive it is. A lot of companies are hopping on the AI kind of trend, we'll call it, even if they aren't necessarily using AI. But how are you going about kind of breaking through the noise of the competitive landscape?
It's hard. Let me tell you, this is the hardest piece, building a company today, because it has become easier than ever to build products and features and modules and platforms, right? But how do you differentiate yourself and really knowing what problem you're solving in depth is really, really critical today. So the way my journey started by talking to 200, customers, users, buyers, decision makers, that has not stopped till now. Like, the entire team at SiftHub is so close to customers, right from, me to product managers, engineers, sales teams, of course, always speak to customers. So I mean, you really have to understand the customer pain point every single day, because the technology is changing very fast. And the problems the technology can solve is, I mean, today, if you have a roadmap, you can actually, think about achieving, maybe let's say if you have a 6 months roadmap, you never know that you can actually achieve that in 3 months time, right? So being very, very close to the customer, solving their actual problems at speed is has become more important than ever, I feel.
Nice. And after speaking with 200 leaders within the space, what other sort of trends have you noticed around AI? Something I've noticed is since we're just so early in the adoption curve, that there's just a big gap around consumer awareness, consumer education about what's out there and how it impacts them. Is there any trends like that you've seen?
Yeah, I mean, it varies from consumer to businesses, and even within businesses, if you're selling to SMBs versus mid-market versus enterprises, the trends are very, very different. Now, when it comes to, let's say, mid-market and enterprises, I think the biggest challenge which I see that leaders are facing, especially revenue leaders, because we talk to CROs a lot, revenue leaders are facing is, what do I really prioritize? I mean, all the boards are pushing every exec to implement AI in the company to optimize the operations, to increase your revenue using AI. But they're really confused. What do I optimize? Do I optimize closing my deals and meeting my forecast? Do I, prioritize for AI tooling, like keeping on trying new AI tools and understanding what is happening in this AI, the new world of AI? Or do I really spend more time in upskilling my reps? Because even if you get a AI platform for your, let's say, entire team, your sales enablement, your solutions team, your sales team, ado- uh, uh, product adoption has become more important than ever. Right? I mean, if you just give a chat GPT kind of an interface to a rep, he or she might not know what are the real capabilities that you can extract from AI. So that's the dilemma, I think, especially the revenue leaders and any execs, not just revenue leaders. I've heard this from a lot of other founder friends that they are really juggling with priorities. And then the fourth priority is, hey, we have to build AI in our own product as well. That means you have to now understand AI, sell AI to your customers. So they are like really juggling with these priorities and taking help from AI councils. A lot of companies are forming these AI councils to, decide on AI tooling for the entire company. I heard this from a couple of customers, but then it didn't work out for them. So they kind of disassembled that council as well. And now, more and more, what I see is um, every functional leader is taking the responsibility of AI implementation within their teams.
Awesome. And do you think that makes the landscape easier to operate, or do you think it makes it more challenging because more companies are coming in trying to capitalize on it?
Yeah, I think it's both, honestly. Easier because you're not the only one actually, pushing for AI adoption or talking about the use cases which can actually be solved using AI. And difficult because whenever you are having the conversations, now what we need to understand is, there are two problems here. One is because we have seen such a major shift in human behavior. Maybe AI is still here, but the expectations of users are here. The expectations of some users are here, the expectations of certain users are here, right? It depends on how well you understand the technology. And that's where, like tech executives are, have an unfair advantage here because they really understand how the technology works and what is possible, what is not possible. So that's one problem, which is, expectation management. And the second problem is basically how do we trust this AI? I mean, I'm sure you would have seen recently a lot of chat GPT conversations which teams used to share with each other were available on Google, right? I mean, people were able to search those private conversations, though there's a flag which you need to turn on or off. So they're really scared as well, by looking at all these news. Um, I think what they are looking for is secure AI. Again, but you have to really spend time to find that secure AI platform which can help your team.
Mhm. And how do you go about educating your prospects about the AI security behind SiftHub?
I think for us at SiftHub, it's more about show and tell. You know, like when let's say prospects start using our platform in a POC stage, in first 15 minutes, they like the time to value of SwiftHub platform is 15 minutes, literally. In first 15 minutes, let's say you start seeing 50-60% productivity improvement, and then as and when you keep integrating more and more sources in the company, the productivity keeps increasing and the sales cycle becomes shorter and shorter. So our strategy has always been show and tell. When they look at the product, when they check the responses, the accuracy of the responses, they are mind blown by it. You know, and what we have done, the thesis which we have followed in building SiftHub platform is always precision over recall. And what I mean by this is, I mean, we are okay to, say, I don't know. The platform should say, I don't know when it doesn't know, instead of making up something and hallucinating. That is another problem of AI tools, right? I mean, whatever you ask, the answer is so compelling. It gives with such great confidence that sometimes you start believing in something which it's not true,
Mhm.
right? So I think the fundamentals with which you're building the platform around AI security is really very, very critical.
Mhm. For sure. And I think it comes back to your earlier point of expectation management. You're obviously in the tech space. I'm very involved in the tech space. I think we are kind of in this bubble of tech expectations. We're kind of ahead of the curve. We know what's going on, but there's a lot of people that don't fully understand it. So when it comes to the hallucination of, say, ChatGPT, for example, people will truly buy into what it says just because it says it with so much conviction. So it's super unique. And from a business perspective, I'm sure that's even amplified even more.
Yeah, yeah. And I think what all of us need to understand is um whatever output you're getting from AI, it can be in the form of text, images, videos, or your workflows automation. I think it's really important to review that output. And that's where human plus AI combination comes into picture. So, there's a lot of chatter around will AI replace humans and so on. And I think it's a very well known fact now that humans who don't embrace AI will be replaced. Otherwise, humans and AI today, at least, till we achieve AGI, maybe we have already achieved. We don't know. We'll get to know in the next Chat GPT launch. So I think, reviewing the AI output is really important, especially when you're dealing with very sensitive information.
Mhm, mhm,
And I mean, it was a funny thing which happened recently. So basically, one of the use cases we solve at SiftHub is, let's say you have all your call transcripts and we help you identify the pain points which a customer has. So a customer can have, let's say, let's say your product is solving 1,000 pain points, but your customer only has 3 pain points, right? So you want to focus on solutioning for those 3 pain points and not really talk about all the features you have in the platform. So we have this feature where we help solutions team and sales teams automate all of that, like create a solution story by identifying pain points. And so there was a call, there was a transcript which was not either recorded completely or not integrated completely. There was half the call, and the call with the VP of sales of a very large company. And she was kind of, complaining how her dog walker didn't come today, and like she canceled on her. So she had to cancel a couple of meetings, and then she had to basically, take her dog outside for the walk. And that's the only part which for which we got the transcript. And in our workflow automation, there's one task where automatically a Jira ticket is created for the pain points which we identify from the customer, and if it doesn't exist in our product roadmap. And it was very funny to see that there was a Jira ticket created saying integration with a dog walking service.
mhm,
So, we were like, oh my God, this was during very early stages of, testing.
mhm.
And these are all funny moments, but it can get serious if not handled correctly.
No doubt. And with stuff like that, we've obviously talked about those talking points of AI replacing humans, for example. Where do you see the AI sales landscape going moving forward?
I mean, I think the advancements are happening much faster than we are expecting. So I wouldn't talk about years, what's going to happen when, because if I say something 2 years, it's going to happen in 1 year for sure, right? So if you see today, sales teams spend around 70% of their time on non-selling activities, which leaves them only 30% of their time on actual selling activities, like talking to customers, actually understanding their pain point and so on. And it's around, 500 to 600 billion of sales salaries spent across the globe. The way I see this entire sales AI world moving is, today it's an assistant. Soon we are going to, automate a lot of tasks of salespeople, which is already happening. And in an autonomous world, basically AI will help sales teams to get rid of all the complex tasks, all those 70% of the tasks where humans are actually not required. Now, just imagine if you're freeing up 70% of the bandwidth for reps, they can actually work on 2x or 3x more deals, which means every rep can actually bring $1 million revenue more annually for a company. Even if you just have 100 reps, today you're losing $100 million on the table. So that's where AI is going to take the sales space, is my assumption.
Yeah, crazy stuff. Crazy stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and future, if I say, especially in, I would say, not very, very large enterprise deals, but in, mid-market kind of deals, definitely, there will be a procurement bot, there will be a seller bot. Procurement bot and seller bot are talking to each other, evaluating solutions, doing all the work. And then once the decision making stage comes, that's when humans get involved. They review everything what AI has done. and they decide if they want to go ahead or they don't want to go ahead. And the benefits with that is today, because of bandwidth issues, you're only able to, let's say, evaluate 2 or 3 vendors when you're doing a POC, right? I mean, you can't like evaluate 5 vendors. But if bots are talking to each other, you can actually evaluate, as many as 10, 20 vendors for the same problem and choose the best one. So I
Hmm.
think it's a win-win for all of us.
Yeah, no, lots of improvements, especially in efficiency coming up. And Manisha, obviously, SiftHub is playing in that similar arena. Looking forward, what's the goals? What's the missions for your company?
I think we want to, the 70% time, which sales teams are spending on non-selling activities, we want to give them that time back to do something they really love, which is talking to customers and adding 100 million extra revenue every year. uh, Plus, I mean, if you can, there's always those top 20% of the reps in the company who bring 80% of the revenue, which again, it's one of the problems which CROs talk about a lot. What if we can, make 90% the top 20% and everyone close more revenue?
Awesome. I think we've talked about it. You've obviously built a great foundation. So I think you got set out to achieve. You're in a very good spot to make it happen.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we are very, very bullish. Of course, there are a lot of things you have to be careful when you're using AI, especially when you're selling AI, because you don't want to misguide your customers and you want to use AI responsibly. But super bullish on what AI can actually do in sales space, and the entire SiftHub team is super excited and passionate about the problem we are solving.
And it's been super interesting to hear you tell us about what you guys are solving. But Manisha, I got one last problem question for you before we wrap up the podcast. Being a founder in the tech space, if there was one lesson you wished you learned a little earlier in your entrepreneurial career that would have kind of helped you kickstart off, what would that one lesson be, and what advice would you give on it?
There's so many lessons. um, so one, if I would say 2 lessons. One is um, it's like talking to customers is never enough. So the more you talk to customers, the better your company becomes. That's one. And this is like for the entire company, not just for sales teams. The second one, I would say, uh, working hard is not an option in running a startup or making your startup successful. I mean, it's not optional. You have to work hard. Of course, you have to work smart. I mean, that's given. But hustling and working hard is absolutely not optional in making your startup successful.
Good lessons. Good lessons. And Manisha, we can start the wrap up now, but I'll be sure to tag ShiftHub's website down in the description. I'll tag your LinkedIn, but is there anywhere else people can go find you on, or are those the main two?
I'm very active on both LinkedIn and Twitter. LinkedIn is where my customers are, sales teams. They live and breathe LinkedIn. So I'm very, very active on LinkedIn. And you can drop me an email as well at manisha@sifthub.io.
Perfect. I'll be sure to tag all that down in the description. But for everybody that tuned in today, thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. Manisha, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Oliver. It was great chatting and reliving those memories of how I started SiftHub.
It's been a pleasure to hear about it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye bye.